Let's talk about chrysanthemums, because that time is almost near, right?
Yes.
Okay.
September, perfect time to get chrysanthemums. Now, they'll be showing up in all the stores and everywhere, all different colors. They have done an excellent job of creating all of these different colors for us to have beauty at our own house. Decorate for fall decorations, everything. And this is one thing you have to, if you see something in September blooming and it's beautiful and you want to bring it home, that's great. It'll last about 2 to 3 weeks depending on the weather. The cooler it is, you know, or the longer the blooms will last.
Okay.
But that was an early blooming mum. There's early, mid, and late blooming mums. That's why when you see, well, I see them at the stores all the time. I'm like, yeah, when they get them in, they have early blooming mums, there's mid-season blooming mums, and there's late season blooming mums. So, but just okay, you can go find another one and replace it. So that's the beauty of the long season of mums, because we have those 3 different kinds. Now, a lot of people ask, will the mums last?
Will they last?
Yes,
that's going to be the
because
question.
chrysanthemums are perennial, and they all came from perennial mums, but they've been hybridized so much, and the florist trade has really taken on mums, and there are a lot of florist mums in the trade. I mean, and you get a flower arrangement from any place, and they've got mums in them.
Seen it.
So those are grown for different reasons. And they were all perennial at one time, and they probably still are in certain places. Now, the garden mums you get at the store, they can be perennial, but you know, they're usually zones, 2 to 9, somewhere in there. So those people can usually keep them if they have the right spot, and that's the problem, finding the right spot. Now, I have kept them before, and they'll stay for a few years, but then something will happen and some of them will go. A lot of people I know will have them, but they are usually in raised areas. They are well drained because they don't like to have wet roots at all. And that's kind of the trouble in the Mid-South area that we have, because it's so wet around here. In the winter,
that time of the year,
rainy season for us. So that's, you know, the key is to keep them well drained in the wintertime, and then most likely they will come back. One thing to not do if you are going to try to make them perennial in your yard, please, when they die in the cool of the frosts that come, leave the foliage there, because that's going to protect the crown. And you're really supposed to leave the dead foliage, and sometimes in some places further north from here, they even suggest putting straw around the crown, you know, in amongst the stems of the chrysanthemum for protection, or some mulch of some kind that's loose. And then in the spring, you can remove all of that, and then they should come back up again. And you should fertilize them in the spring.
What would you use to fertilize?
A complete fertilizer, any kind of complete fertilizer. You can do a long-lasting one or one that doesn't last long. Sometimes they'll fertilize them again in the end of June. Now, some people say, well, mine are starting to bloom. Yeah, what happens is they'll start to bloom maybe in July.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or August. And so
in the heat.
In the heat. But if you don't prune them before that, if you go ahead and start letting them bloom, just go ahead and let them bloom. They may bloom again in the fall when it gets cooler. Because some of them are actually bred to bloom twice like that. So, you know, you never know. But if you only want the nice fall flush of bloom, then you should cut them before the 4th of July.
Cut them before?
Yep, cut them back before the 4th of July. And then when they come back out, they'll have time, and then they'll bloom in the fall just once. But yeah, so they are perennial, but sometimes around here especially, it's kind of tricky to keep them. But well-drained soils is key.
Fertilize.
Fertilize in the spring, and sometimes again in July, end of July, and then get a nice flush of blooms in the fall.
So how much are we cutting back?
Just enough to cut off the top where the blooms are trying to form, just the tips.
Just the tips.
And you know, most of these are bred to be nice and bushy like they are, so you really don't have to do a whole lot. Mine just naturally grow bushy just like they were when I got them the year before. So, but yeah, just tip off all of the blooms where the blooms would be, and that will cause them to stop and regrow again and then bloom later in the fall.
Any pest problems we need to know about, or fungal issues?
Now, I've never seen fungal problems with them, but that doesn't mean they won't get some, but bugs sometimes do, chew on the leaves. And a lot of times I've seen that it might actually be a caterpillar of some kind.
Right.
And so, BT would help that. But you just look at them often. But chrysanthemums, the chemical pyrethrin comes from chrysanthemums, so really not a whole lot bothers them.
Right, yeah, and of course Mr. D mentions that all the time. Right. Yeah, so they shouldn't have any major
No, they
problems
really
with
don't have.
insect pests.
I've never had any on mine, so.
Okay.
They're real good and they're easy to grow. Like I said, you take a chance. Buy the beautiful ones that you want in the fall. Try to save them. Put them in a nice, well-drained area. Mulch them up in the winter. See if they'll come back for you.
And I guess full sun?
They love full sun. That is, I'd say at least 4 to 6 hours of sun a day would be good for them, because I have them on one side of the house and my mother has them on one side of the house, and it doesn't get sun all day long, but part of the day.
I actually have another question for you. So when you're out, picking mums, for your home, do you look for the ones that have all of the blooms on them? That are open or closed or what?
That's a good point. Right. Yes. No, I like to buy them with lots of buds on them.
Okay.
I want to be able to see the color. Like some of them are breaking and some of them are blooming, so I know what it's going to look like. Right. But I like to buy lots of buds because I know it'll last in the landscape a lot longer.
Okay. Yeah, I've often wondered that, because of course when you see them, out at the big box store or some other place, they're full of blooms and some are not, just have little buds on them. So you get the early ones, Mr. D. There's some more coming behind that one.
There is.
In the middle. Then there's some more coming behind that one.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Because they are beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Especially during the fall, you can decorate with them. I actually, try to have some out, in the yard. So that I do like them. But I didn't know about the early, middle, and the late. That was new to me. So I hope the folks got that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joellen. That was good. Appreciate that. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click the subscribe button below.